from the bottom, ain't no problems, we gon' make a way. Got no coach on the field, but we making plays. Hey, look, don't worry, we gon' be okay. Hey, look, why? Cause we gon' make them pay.
So let's get to our next game. We're going to the West Coast. We got BYU, the Cougars, coming off a loss against Baylor, taking on Washington State Cougars. BYU's 5-2 on the year, 3-4 against the spread, while the Washington Cougars are actually on a roll right now. They're 4-3 and 4-3 against the spread. Get to these actual factuals and injury reports. BYU, man, that's kind of been the situation with them. I mean, a lot of guys are injured and banged up, and this list is still hella long. You know, you got Pilley, linebacker, out for the season, one of their best linebackers. Ellis, the defensive back, he's questionable for this game. Fayute, he is defensive line. He is questionable for this game as well. LaChance, the offensive lineman, he is out he's questionable for the game as well. Man, they just dealing with injuries all over there. Piper, wide receiver, head injury, but we already know Algier, he's their guy. Defensive back, you do. He's doubtful for today's game, for the game against Washington State. Wide receiver Davis, he's questionable as well. Epps, wide receiver, he's questionable, and Wilson, the defensive back. I mean, man, BYU is just plagued with injuries. I think if they were healthy, they probably will still be undefeated. But they did go against a monster down south here in Texas in Waco with Baylor Bears. I mean, Baylor got a hellified defense, and it makes sense because they have a hellified coach who was the defensive coordinator for the once upon a time national champions LSU. Wazoo, McIntosh, wide receiver, he left last game, so he is questionable. The wide receiver Gray, he's questionable as well. Cornerback Archer, he's questionable. And a linebacker by the name of Brown, he's questionable as well. Now, BYU coming off back-to-back losses against Boise State, 26-17. And again, like I mentioned before, a 38-24 loss against Baylor. Wazoo, on the other hand, they beat Cal 21-6. Cal's not that very good. Oregon State, that's an impressive win. They beat them 31-24. And they beat Stanford, but this is a banged-up Stanford team, 34-31. I can't remember the quarterback's name, but he's a little short guy. He kind of reminds me of a smaller version of Johnny Manziel. But let's get to these actual factuals real quick. For BYU, the total's gone under 8 out of the last 10 games. They're 16-3 straight up in the last 19 games for the season. The overset 5 out of the last 7. They're 4-1 straight up in the last 5 games against a Pac-12 opponent, and 7-2 straight up in the last 9 games in the month of October. Washington State, they're 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 games. The unders hit 4 out of the last 5. And they're 4-2 straight up in the last 6 games this year, 15-5 straight up in the last 20 games at home. They're 6-1 against the spread in the last 7 games against independent opponent. 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 games played in the month of October. Which way is the coach leaning for this one? Man, with them injuries, it's definitely tough for BYU. And this is one of those situations that I've always been saying. When a team, I like betting on teams that are trending up versus a team that's trending down. But the 2 losses that BYU are on the L streak against are pretty solid teams with solid programs and great defenses. Wazoo, I don't know, but I do know BYU has been owning the Pac-12 this year. I believe they're undefeated this year. They are undefeated this year against the Pac-12. I never understood why they didn't try to join that conference when the time was right, but they are coming to the Big 12, so we're definitely going to be seeing them a lot in Texas. For this game, I'm going to have to go with BYU minus the 4.5. I definitely think they definitely are bigger up front and in the receivers versus the defensive backs position. So I'm going to have to ride. I don't like taking a lot of points on the road for favorites, but I'm going to take BYU right here, minus the 4.5.
Check it out. Look, we from the bottom, ain't no problems, we gon' make a way. Got no coach on the field, but we making plays. Hey, look, don't worry, we gon' be okay. Hey, look, why? Cause we gon' make them pay. We from